After having these nails in for 4.5 weeks, it was time to take them down. So today we're going to be doing a soak off. Hi beautiful people, it's NBLX Collections here, and today we are starting off with cutting off the length of the extensions just to where my natural nails end, just so that we don't have to file through all of that. That's just going to be a whole lot of time. Then next, I'm using a coarse drill bit to file down the bulk of the nail tip of the extension. So this was a gel X set, all right? It was not acrylic, it was not polygel, it was gel X. So I'm just using a coarse bit to file down on the design and the bulk of the nail. Now if you can see here, if you look closely, you can see that a great part of the tip of the gel X had already lifted from my nail plate. That is why I was able to do this. See that? I just peeled it off. Now I do not advise it, but I'm just saying that the reason I was able to peel it off like that was because that part had really lifted off from my natural nail plate. So I just, peeled it off. Again, I strongly advise against it. So you're just going to file down as close to the natural nail as you can, but just try not to do too much and injure your nail. So when you file down on the bulk of the nail, you're going to go in with the soak off. Now some people use a soak off bowl, like put acetone and warm water beneath and soak the nails, but I prefer to do the foil method, just like this. It's pretty simple. All you want to do is grab some aluminum foil paper, not so much, just a little bit like this. Now you can see mine is wrinkled. It's because I'd used it for something else prior to this, and I just decided to reuse it to soak off my nails and then throw it away. So you grab a little piece, you take some cotton, you soak it in acetone, 100% acetone. You place it on the nail, then you use the aluminum foil to wrap it up, just like you see me do right here. And that's it. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, and it doesn't really take up as much acetone as you would use if you're using a soak off bowl. So I just find this method to be a bit more economical on the acetone. So yeah, I just want to make sure you do this on all the nails. As you can see, I didn't put anything on the index finger, and that's because the nail had popped off before the day I was doing this soak off, so I didn't put anything there. And on this thumb, it was just a small patch of the extension that was on it, so I put just a little piece of the cotton. Since I already filed down on the bulk of the nail and left just a very thin layer of the extension, I didn't leave this on for more than 5 to 7 minutes, and it was good to go. So I took off the foil, as you just saw. Then I used a cuticle pusher to scrape off the remains of the nail tip that was on the nail. The acetone had already eaten through all of it, so it was very easy to scrape through. So I just did that for all the nails. As you can see, it's lifted, and the cuticle pusher just scraped everything right off, and my nails were good to go. The next step I did was to prep my nails, which always starts with pushing back my cuticle. I did that ever so gently, because if you push too hard and put too much pressure there, it might become uncomfortable and you could even injure yourself. So you just want to do that very carefully and very gently. And after that, I then went in with my sanding band, and I always start around the cuticle area, as you see me do right here. So I will file around the cuticle area, and then I file, just buff down the length of the nail so that I can get off any shine, and yeah, just prep the nail for my next application. So I just do that on all the nails, as you can see me doing. While I'm prepping nails, be it for myself or for my clients, I always prefer to keep my drill bit, or the speed of my drill bit, within the limits of 5 to 8. I try not to exceed that, but I can go below 5. But I rarely do, so it's usually or typically between the speed of 5 and 8. Though that limit just works very fine for me. So after going through all the nails with a sanding band, I then go in with this bit, which I use just around the cuticle areas only, just to really get in there and lift off any dead cells that may still be hanging on to my nail. Just lift it off. Next, I'm going to dust off all the particles on my hand, just so I can see better what I'm doing. And then I'm going to go in with my cuticle trimmer to clean off all the cuticles, or the dead part of it that has been lifted off my nails. Now this particular cuticle trimmer I use only on myself, All right, so I've used it multiple times already, but like I said, only on myself. Whenever a client comes in, I take out a brand new one from a pack and use on them, and I dispose of it afterwards. But this particular one I use only on myself. So I go around all the nails and clean out the cuticle or the dead part of it. Just clean it out and make sure that I have a nice clean base to work with. And then after that, I go in to shape the free edge of my natural nail. The next thing I'm going to do is to size the nails, the nail tips I'm going to be using to fit the nail bed. Now these are medium long nails and I'm making sure that they fit around my cuticle area and they fit on each nail from sidewall to sidewall, making sure that there are no gaps in any area. And I like to use the medium long for the first three fingers, which is my thumb, my index and middle fingers. And then for my pinky and ring fingers, I like to use the extra long, and that's because I usually do those two as stiletto nails to use for stitch braids since I'm a braider as well. So I always prefer to do those as stiletto nails. Then the rest of them I do them as almonds. So I'm just measuring up the nails, and I always do this before I go in to finish up the prep for my Gel X application. So after sizing up all the nails, I then go into etch the inner corners of all the nails. This etching process is basically just using your e-file to file the inner side of the nail tip to take off the shine, and doing this typically helps the nail tip to adhere better to your nails when you're doing your application. So make sure that you are not skipping this step. And my extra long tips, they come already etched, but I still prefer to do it again just to be very sure, because well I do like to have my 4 to 6 weeks retention, so this is one of the things that help. So when I'm done with that, I then go in to wipe all my nails down with acetone. Then what I'm using right now is my primer, so when I apply that, I let it sit for a few seconds, like 2 to 3 seconds, and it dries out completely, almost like how your acetone would dry on your nails. So after applying that on all the 5 nails and it dries up, I then go in with my base coat, not too thick, a very thin layer, and I apply on all the nails. I cure it for 60 seconds and then I go in with my Gel X application. Right now I'm going in to apply my Gel X tip, and how I do this is I start off by applying a blob of the gel glue on the tip. Then I apply it on my natural nail, pressing it down ever so gently and let it, just flow all through the nails, but make sure it doesn't float out of the nails. As you can see, the left side of this pinky finger, like my natural nail, is not fully covered by the nail tip, and that's because that corner of my natural nail was a bit chipped. If you had noticed it earlier, you would have seen. Now I'm just showing right here that the NBLX tip wasn't sitting straight. It was a bit curved, but it wasn't too bad because I knew I was going to fix it when I come to filing. So just always make sure that if you're applying on yourself or your client, you get it straight. Now I'm going in with the next nail. As you saw me do, apply a blob. Now some people apply gel glue all through the space that their natural nail will cover on the tip before applying the blob at the end. But what I don't like to do that. I just prefer to apply a blob at the edge and then press it into the nail. Then I flash cure that for a couple of seconds, like 10 seconds, give or take. So yeah, that's me applying the blob again. I just apply a blob there, then I apply it to my nail, press it down gently, have it go through all the nail. Now if it floats, I just take it out, wipe the flooded area, then I put it back on, flash cure for about 10 seconds, and then I move over to the next nail. I repeated this process for all the 5 nails that I'm working on, and then I put it in an LED UV lamp for 60 seconds so that I can get a full cure before I move ahead to the filing and shaping and everything else. If you're still watching this video right up to here, thank you so much. Please be sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on your post notifications so that whenever an upload goes up, you get notified about it. Also, drop a comment down below. Just drop a red heart. That way I know that you watched right up to this point. Just drop a red heart down in the comment section. And also share this video, give it a thumbs up, and let us know which other videos you'd like to see us do. Alright, so once I'm done with applying my tips, I use a nail cutter to cut on the sides of all the nails just to ease the filing process so that I wouldn't need to file all of that off. So I just use the nail cutter, cut on the sides like you see me do right here. And remember I said that the pinky and ring fingers are going to be stiletto nails. So once I'm done with that, I then use a fine drill bit around my cuticle area to seal it in. I do that for all the nails. Then I go in with my manual file to shape the edge of the nails to give it the almond and the stiletto shapes. So once I'm done with that, then I go ahead to buff all the nails, the top part, to take out all the shine so that my gel can lay on it and adhere to the tips better. Now once I'm done with all that, I then go in with my cleaning brush. I dip that in acetone and then I scrub the nail tip, just the area around the cuticle area, to seal it in a bit more so that when it grows out there's no room for lifting and it's just a smooth flush around the cuticle area. Once I'm done with that, I spray alcohol on my nails. Then I use a mini brush to scrub and take out all the dust particles. Then I go in with a base coat because I'm going to be using Builder Gel to add strength and structure to the nails, especially to the stiletto nails. So I'm just showing you guys how the application is looking like so far. This is just the application. So yeah, zooming in, look at that apex. It is cute, it's pretty, it feels so lightweight, and we're good to go. So from here I go in now to apply my Builder Gel, and I would advise that you work on, if you're not very comfortable or very used to this, you can work on 1 nail at a time or 2 or 3 nails at a time. 3 nails max. I recommend 3 nails maximum at a time, but I didn't heed to that advice. I went ahead to work on all 5 nails at once before curing it, and well, let's just say I was lucky. But yeah, I did all 5 nails before curing it, and then I did a second layer. I didn't record that, but I did a second layer. So I did the first layer, I cured it for 60 seconds. Then I did a second layer and cured it again for 60 seconds. doing the first layer, I cured it, then I did a second layer and cured it again for another 60 seconds. Then I used a manual file to gently file over the nails and give it a nice smooth look. And when I was done with that, I sprayed alcohol, brushed off the dust, and now I'm using acetone and a cotton pad to just wipe off the nails and make sure it's clean for the design. So at this point, everything was giving what it was supposed to. So I decided to do a freestyle set. I really didn't have anything specific in mind that I wanted to do, so I was just going with the flow. And that brings me to a tip. If you're working on yourself or on a client and you want to work really fast, do not do a freestyle. All right, have an inspiration in mind that you're going to work with, because freestyling is not as easy as, all the other TikTokers and YouTubers and Instagrammers. It's not as easy as they make it look. It's a lot of work. You got to think about what you want to do and make sure that it comes out how you're thinking about it. It's as opposed to, having a picture that you're working with and you're just recreating that. So, yeah, freestyling is definitely harder than just recreating from an inspiration. So if you want to work fast, just whether you're working yourself or you're working on a client, have an inspiration picture you're going to follow. Unless you do decide to get creative, then okay, that's fine. You can then go into do a freestyle. So I started off by doing a French. Most of these designs I saw on Pinterest, but I didn't want to do all my nails as one, like have one design on all my nails. So I decided to do different, hence the freestyle. So starting off with that first finger, the pinky finger, I did double outline French. And then when I was done, I cured it for 60 seconds. Then I remembered that I didn't actually use a buffer on the nails because it was not very smooth. So when I cured it for 60 seconds, then I went in with a buffer on all the other nails and just buffed gently to give it a nice smooth surface to work on. So when I was done with that, I went over that outline and did a second coat. Just on the outline, I did a second coat, and I did the second coat because my black gel polish was not very pigmented. It's not very pigmented, so it was just looking a bit too transparent for what I wanted. So I decided to go over it for a second time just to give it a thicker, bolder look. So I did an outline, then I cured it for not an outline. I did a second coat or a second layer of the French outline. Then I cured it for 60 seconds and I went over to the second nail. Now the second nail was my ring finger, and here I started off with a blooming gel because I thought about doing a rose design. So I started off with a blooming gel first and I did not cure it. Alright, when you apply a blooming gel, do not cure it. So when I did that, then I used my art brush and went around to create the petals of the rose, just like that. If you want a close-up design, if you want a close-up video on any of these designs, please do drop a comment down below and we're gonna record that for you. So yeah, I did that. Then on the thumb, I decided to do blooming gel on the thumb as well. So I did like a French croc design ish. Yeah, just like that. So yeah, I remember when you're working with blooming gel, when you apply it, do not cure it. You apply it, then you go with your design, then you cure it. So after that, I decided to do another French outline on my index finger, which is what I'm doing right now. And when I was done with that, I did a second coat because, like I said, the black is not really that thick. It's not really that pigmented. And when I did just one coat, it really wasn't giving what I wanted it to. It wasn't very dark and very bold, so I had to do a second coat after drying it. So I cured it for 60 seconds. After curing that, I went in to do the middle finger. Now it's looking dark because I applied black jelly, and what I did to have that jelly polish was basically just mix my black gel polish with a glossy top coat, and it gave that jelly-ish look. Now when I applied it on the nail, it really wasn't giving what I was expecting it to give, so I decided to go over it with these swirls, cured it for 60 seconds. Then I went over it with another coat of the black jelly, cured it for 60 seconds. Then I applied a matte top coat. I did that off camera. Applied a matte top coat, cured it for 60 seconds. And then right now, yeah, that's why it's looking like that, because I applied a matte top coat. And then I went over now with a glossy top coat just on the swirls. Just on the swirls, not on the entire nail. Just on the swirls. I applied that, a glossy top coat on the swirls. And then when I was done, I then went in to apply my, before curing it, I just decided to to not have to do many cures. So I decided to go over my index finger with a glossy top coat, and then I also went underneath the nail. It made a good difference. So when I did that, I also applied on my ring finger, my pinky finger, and then underneath the nails as well, but don't do too much, just a little bit. And after doing that, it was giving the glass effect and it was so cute. I think I'm going to do a glass effect next time I'm doing my nails. And here's the final result. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. And the press-ons you can see on the stand behind there, they went on my right hand because I couldn't draw and design on my right hand, so I did them as press-ons. If you watched right to this point, you're such a darling. Drop a pink heart below, and I know you stayed. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. But before I go, I just wanted to say this is how the nails were looking 6 weeks afterwards. And this is a warning because after 6 weeks I did a soak off, and this is what I had. My pinky was damaged because the nails were out of structure, out of balance, and yeah, so do not keep your nails in for too long before you get a soak off or a refill. Do that in a good time. But other than that, my nails had grown out so nicely, and I was ready to start doing overlays. Okay, bye.